Coach, overall performance of your offense on Saturday going into this game with Texas, how do you see it diversifying or staying the same?
Well, I think three things will happen. I think you'll see us play with a little bit more grit. I think you'll see us play with better tempo, and then execute better. If we do those three things, we'll be pretty good. And we just didn't do those three things very good.
What does that mean, better tempo on the offense?
Just in and out of the huddle faster, calls at the line of scrimmage faster. If you watch this in the first half, it was fairly slow. And that's probably pretty common for a lot of offenses this early in the season, especially now that we've put a few new things in, installed a few new formations, and are doing some things that are new. Just the play call in the huddle, to the break, to the snap, everything was just taking too long, and the ball was being snapped too late. And I think it was even causing bad snaps, and the center and the quarterback can play a little tight because of all that. If we can speed the tempo up, I think it'll loosen them up a little bit. And then the execution of it, just goodness, we've got to stay out of third and long. When we were in third and medium and short, I think we got all but one of them. So now it's a matter of getting into those more often and staying out of. I think we were in seven or eight third and longs, and that's hard to sustain drives. And then in the blue zone, you got to score, and our run attack's got to be stronger and better, and we've got to execute better, make better decisions down there, and get points. We were in there 4 times, I think, and we only came away with points 1 time. So we got to come away with points every time you get in the blue zone, either whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. You got to come away with points.
Does that speak more towards your offense not executing correctly, or maybe Ole Miss's defense was that good?
No, Ole Miss was great, and they did a lot of things that caused third and longs because they were very good. But they didn't. I mean, we got in the blue zone. They didn't stop us from getting in the blue zone. And I call it the blue zone. It's the red zone. And now it's a matter of, we had a snap over Jake's head, if you remember, and that took us out of field goal range. We threw an interception, 14-point swing. They took it back for a touchdown. We missed a field goal. Those are 3 of the 4. The 4th one we scored on. So we can't be a great football team if that's how we're going to play, and I don't think we'll do that anymore.
Transferring all that to now Texas prep for this coming Saturday, what's similar to Ole Miss as far as the defense goes?
Athleticism and speed and physicality. Ole Miss they were really good. They had improved a lot from last year. They'd made some personnel changes. They moved a corner to safety, and he's the one that picked off the ball and took it back for a touchdown. He was really good. They had their defensive end back that was a real talented player. And then they had brought a new corner in from a junior college that added a lot of speed to their defense. And I think Texas is a lot like that: speed, physicality, big, strong, athletic players. And then the scheme allows them to play fast. Coach Manny Diaz does a good job down there, and those kids will be running around and flying around and blitzing and playing man-to-man, and then they'll roll off, they'll blitz and drop in the zone, and our kids are going to have to be on their toes.
Coach, against Ole Miss, the run game was about 2.9 yards a carry, and the pass game was about 5.8 yards a carry. Against Texas, do you think you maybe have to maybe stretch out a little bit more, or maybe get some more on the ground game, and maybe also be up in the pass game?
Well, I do. I think that the tempo, if the tempo's increased, and we do a good job in just getting in and out of the huddle and with varied looks, our play-action game hopefully will allow for us to get some more balls down the field. But I'd like to take 1 or 2 shots a quarter, and we ended up only taking maybe 1 shot a quarter last game, and that wasn't enough. So, yeah, I'd like to see that happen, but I'm not as worried about that as I am just making the plays when the plays are there. Jake missed some throws in the first half. He doesn't miss. In the second half, he didn't miss those throws. He made them in the second half, and so completion percentage was like 90-something% in the second half. In the first half, it was less than 50, and we can't win doing that.
Yeah. Are you concerned, or did you go back and review Jake's performance in terms of maybe blocking on receivers too much, or maybe was that just a cause, maybe of something from a man-to-man coverage defense? Or?
Just missed JJ 2 or 3 times in the flat, wide open, those are throws again that I think he'll make, and when he makes those, and then we do the things that I said, I think we'll be okay. He was tight. Again, I think the center and he played tight in the first half, and it caused a lot of problems for us in the first half of the game.
Yeah, Do you feel man coverage will be something that Texas might go into as well? And if so, do you think you learned a lot from the Ole Miss game heading into that situation?
I think the first 4 games, who knows, 5 games we play, people are going to place man-to-man. And I think we're significantly better now versus man-to-man, and I hope that we continue to do so. You saw us get a couple nice plays in man-to-man. Ross made a great play out on the edge twice, one for a touchdown, one for down the sideline. McKay came across on a drive route versus man-to-man that caused them some trouble. So hopefully we've improved the scheme versus man, and then I think our receivers have improved their ability to get open versus man. But we're preparing for that, preparing for man.
Is it hard when something works and then you have a great call and then you have a couple that don't work and you fail? Is it hard not to get on yourself and say, what am I doing wrong?
No question. I looked at that whole game and I didn't grade out well either. I mean, I have a lot of improvement to make, and I'm really excited to do that. And there's some calls that I'd love to have back in that game that I made that I wish I wouldn't have made at the time, and I made them, and I think they hurt us, and hopefully I'll improve and I won't make those calls, and then ultimately I'm responsible for the tempo and the execution of the offense, and so when it wasn't going well, I had to look at why, and we've made some changes to a few things that I think will improve that. We won't know till Saturday if it was if we hit it on the head or not.
BYU's only been shut out twice in the last 40 years. Were you worried that you went 3 quarters without scoring in your first game as offensive coordinator?
Well, I was worried we weren't going to score, and that's a stressful thing. It's stress I hadn't felt. I never felt like that as a player, and it was certainly different. But calling the plays, you don't go out and actually throw it, but you're trying to put together a drive that these guys can execute at a high level, and then when things weren't going well, these guys come off the sideline and they're wondering, right? So not only are you trying to figure out what to call, but you're also trying to keep those guys' spirits up and keep them believing and keep them fighting. And those guys kept fighting and they kept believing all the way to the end. Even after the pick 7, after we threw the interception, he took it back, our guys came off the field, and I could see it right there in their eyes that they were wondering if they should just throw in the towel or not. And it was 13-0, and they didn't throw it in. They kept going, and I think it says a lot about who these guys are, and hopefully our improvements will be seen now after game 1.
How much did the defense help that? Because usually if you don't score in 3 quarters, you're out of the game, but the defense kept you in it.
Well, I kept thinking about the Oklahoma game during that game when we were struggling to get some points, and we'd had some turnovers in that game, and our defense just kept us close, and we're pretty good when we're close. I mean, the record stands for itself, and I knew we were. And if we could keep that game within a couple scores going in the 4th quarter, I felt like we certainly had a chance to win that game, because I know who we're coaching, I know the type of kids we're coaching, and yeah, I was frustrated like crazy we weren't scoring touchdowns, but again, we'd been in there plenty of times. It wasn't a matter of how am I going to mount a drive, but it was now how are we going to get these guys to finish it off, and by dang if they didn't pull it off.
Okay.